Hello, my friends, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. As you can see, here is a picture of the puppies having their dinner for your viewing pleasure. Everybody except for little Violet there, who is the very bottom one, is over 1 pound now. The top three are actually 1 pound and 3 ounces. Little Cass there has her tail curled up in a really funny way. Violet is now up to 13 ounces. So she will be passing that pound mark soon, but she's just lagging a little bit behind her sisters still. They are adorable and growing so fast. I can't wait till they start walking. So an awful lot has happened since the last time I made a video. All sorts of drama regarding game devs and streamers and YouTubers has just blown up left and right, mainly coalescing around 2 specific events. The first one is the game Mouthwashing. The game came out. Apparently people were very much enjoying it. A few people made some fan art. Some of the fan art, of course, leaned Rule 34, and some of the people got very upset about that, considering the more dark themes of the game. Also, I just realized that this tweet has been retweeted 666 times. Anyway, this led to people, of course, saying some of the nastiest stuff you can imagine, telling people to remove themselves from the world, so on and so forth. And then the game dev came out and said, you know, people are allowed to make whatever art they want. They came out and defended these artists. Now, because they did this, people like Hero Hay, Asmongold, Grums came out and said, you know, good for them. We're glad to see people come out and stick up for the gamers, stick up for the artists. Then the audio guy came out and started talking about how disgusted he was that the game has found the wrong kind of people, that people like Asmongold talking about the game made him sick. And all of a sudden, everybody is really mad that people are praising the game and talking about it in a positive manner, because those aren't the people who are supposed to like the game. That's not what's supposed to happen. To some degree, it feels like they were expecting this game to make the people they consider the wrong people mad. When that didn't happen, they don't know what to do. They have no idea how to approach the fact that people just apparently liked their game and that they wanted to support it. Now, to this point, it's only been the one employee of the game, but he's also mentioned as a co-founder on his LinkedIn, which is he not? I don't know. But all it takes is one employee, one dev, one person involved in your company going off on the people who were literally just praising you, telling you you were doing a good thing, that you had a good game, to go off and ruin it because the people who were saying it weren't the people he wanted to be recognized by. And apparently that just kind of pushed him off the deep end and made him think, oh no, people are going to think I'm what I think these people are. Which is part of the problem with thinking that way. Now, I'm sure someday in the future, we'll get into my issue with purity spirals and how I believe they exist all over the place. And it's something you got to watch out for. It's one of those cases of you stare into the abyss and eventually the abyss stares back. Or more, actually, I guess more appropriately, one of those cases where you become the monster that you were chasing. And I do believe it is very important to be very aware of where that line is so that you don't cross it. But we're not there yet, so I'll talk about that some other time. But this guy, the audio guy, who I'm not gonna, tonight I've decided not to go through and dig up all the tweets, because I don't really want to talk about the tweets themselves as much as I want to talk about what they mean. I want to talk about how there's been, for a long time, the obvious hypocrisy of the leftist gamer. Because I don't want to call them woke. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'll probably say it 100 times. That word has been overused to the point that it's dead. It really has lost all meaning, kind of like so many other words that used to actually mean something. And so I think the best way to define these people at this point is the leftist gamer, because that's who they mostly are. There are going to be people who are more right-leaning that start establishing the same behavior. And maybe someday I'll come up with what I consider an accurate word for this type of behavior is, but today is not that day. So for today, we will just call them leftist gamers. But they are becoming aware of the fact that they are losing what control they thought they had. They are becoming aware that the virtue signaling, that just being seen by the right people for doing what they think is the right thing isn't what works. And it scares them. They're terrified. And like any animal who realizes it's about to lose a battle, they're starting to come undone. When you see people actively attacking people for supporting something in a positive way, nobody said anything negative about the game. Asmongold, as this tweet says, played the game. He thought the experience was great and that it didn't pull punches, had complex evil, wants to see what the studio comes up with next. And people are actually mad at him. They are upset that he's dared say this because it's going to bring the attention of the wrong kind of people. Now, for people who don't like gatekeeping, that sounds an awful lot like gatekeeping. But what am I supposed to expect? Realistically, these people don't understand that if you want your game to succeed, people have to want to buy it. Thus, you should make a good game. Now, they made a good game. Apparently. I haven't played it. I haven't even looked into it. I'll be honest. I'm not probably too interested in it at this point. But they apparently made a game good enough that people really started enjoying it. And instead of being happy about that, they actively start to attack people. It's insane. It is certifiably insane and shows that their ideology matters to them far more than actual gaming. Because if you love gaming outside of the ideology of it. You don't love gaming just because it gives the message that you want it to give. I mean, some people might. Realistically, I don't like to overgeneralize. So I'm sure there's some people who love gaming because it has the message they want in it. But in my opinion, that's weird. A further example of this weirdness is David Jaffe. Now, I know his name comes with a lot of weight. He was one of the people who helped create God of War. He helped with Twisted Metal. He helped with so many other games that people really considered him to be someone to look up to in gaming. He's getting older. He's resting on his laurels. He apparently wants to start his YouTube career. How better to start your YouTube career than when you already have a large name? You go ahead and you attack large creators. Or more to the point, you just attack the people you call grifters. I almost did go through, when I saw this title drop, I almost did go through and respond to it. Be entirely upfront, what stopped me was laziness. Because I didn't want to listen to him. I knew what he was going to say. I didn't really care. If you ask me, the reason that Dragon Age didn't get the sales it wanted was it pissed off gamers. That made YouTubers look into it, that made YouTubers point out the problems that were already quite obviously there. Thus, gamers knew they were there, so gamers didn't bother spending their money. At that point, the blame always lies where it always belonged, with the game. The game wasn't good, thus it didn't sell. That's how that works. It's not YouTubers spoke bad, the game became bad. The game was bad to begin with. It was never going to be a huge success. It might have sold a couple 100,000 more copies without the YouTubers, but it was never going to be great because people were going to play it. They were going to see what it was. It wasn't going to get word of mouth. It wasn't going to be hyped up by gamers to other gamers. And then when it would die. And that's how that goes. If you have a bad game, you have a bad game. Bad games are the fault of no one but the developer. But as a developer, he can't accept the fault for that. What would he know about being a failing developer? He's only created good games, right? And now that he's not creating games, he needs to create a little drama to get attention on himself, to get the right kind of attention on himself. And that is why he also went and did possibly the most pathetic thing you could possibly do. He focused on one YouTuber. He focused on Vera Dark and decided that she was the one to go after. And then when he went after her, instead of addressing any of her pushback points on his video, he basically did what every leftist does. Then after that, when she responded to his response and started talking about how he was just swinging back after she swung at him and played the victim, because of course he has to be the victim in this situation. That's how he's going to build more of a platform and make his money off of YouTube, by getting people to view him, the strong man, as the victim of that sweet little girl. I'm sorry, I couldn't. But to make himself the victim of the situation, because that's the only way he knows how to gain power now. I mean, once upon a time, he was probably a very go-getter, able to build off of his personality type person. But now he's not. Now he has to stir up YouTube drama in an attempt to gain more of a following. Is it working? I don't know. I'm not good at looking at those kinds of numbers. I should be for as many YouTubers as I've watched do it, but some things just don't click right in my head. However, whether it's working or not, I am not one of those people who find it worth my time in general to feed into people who are looking for attention. Thankfully, I can't say that my tiny little platform here is going to give him a huge boost of attention in any way. But despite how I normally feel about that, he does give me a really nice place to continue the conversation about leftist gamers and what's happening in our current ecosystem. He is a perfect example of someone who is trying to work on an outdated model. Gamers don't want people who are virtuous. It's not about the virtues in gaming. It's not about looking like you're the best person. It's not about looking like you're the nicest person. It's not about looking like you're the biggest victim. It's about what you have to offer in terms of your product. I would like to think that most of you are here because you like hearing what I think. Now, a lot of you here could just be here to laugh at me, but you know what? You're spending your time here either way, and I appreciate that, whether you're laughing at me or you want to hear what I have to say. As long as I'm entertaining you, I am providing you with something that you enjoy for the time that you are here, hopefully. You're not here because you think you have to be here to look like you are with the right people, to make yourself look aligned and virtuous, and basically you're... long way of saying you're not here because it's good for your reputation. Because let's face it, I make no effect on your reputation, nor should anybody you are associated with or watch online. With few exceptions. There's always going to be exceptions. Exceptions to every rule, after all. But much like the mouthwashing situation, when called on the situation, what does he do? He doubles down. He continues to say, oh no, I am not being misogynistic by telling a woman the only reason she has her platform is because of her looks. I'm merely stating that she only has her appearance because of her looks, because that's what I think. Now, there are a number of things that I really avoid because there's no good way to approach them anymore. You have a really difficult time getting a proper conversation with people because of the way certain words trigger their brains. Misogynistic is one of them. And it's not a word I use a whole lot. Basically, back to the whole woke issue, because it's been overdone. It's lost most of its meaning. But I will say, telling a woman that the only reason she has a job or a position or what she has in whatever hobby or career path that she's working is because of her looks. Unless that hobby is actually something involving looks, for example, modeling or something like that, then I am willing to call that misogynistic. It's not only misogynistic, it's an attempt to completely belittle somebody, because apparently if they're attractive, then that's the only reason they have their position. Now, here I am, an absolutely gorgeous squid person. And I know you guys are all here for the squiddies. Sorry, I couldn't help that one. But I also like I said before, I like to think you're also here for my witty conversation. But we all know it's for the squiddies. Anyway, it's an interesting situation where you have, on one hand, people supporting a game and getting in trouble. On the other hand, you have a game developer attacking, or former game developer, I guess, attacking a YouTuber after he attacked YouTubers in general, and then trying to call himself the victim, trying to act like people shouldn't just dislike him because, all he did was state what he thought. Well, you state what you think, and if what you think is very obviously dumb, people are going to tell you, oh, hey, that thought process is dumb. But most people aren't going to say, well, you're dumb. Well, I take that back. Most people will say, well, you're dumb, because people like to attack the person and not the idea. But in this case, no, I'm going to say his idea is dumb. He may not be dumb. I don't really know him. I have no actual opinion in that regard. But his opinion right now is not only dumb, it's uneducated, and very much shows that he has no real argument. Because instead of attacking the ideas, he attacked the person. Because what does attacking the person do? Typically, for normal people, it riles them up and causes more attacks back, thus boosting him in the algorithm, giving him more eyes, and in his opinion, attracting the type of people he wants to see him. The type of people who are okay with the type of person he's being, the type of people who are okay with somebody who attacks other people based on what they are as opposed to their ideas. He's going to pretend it's about the ideas, of course. You know, she's obviously some kind of fascist that voted for Trump because she doesn't agree with him. There's no way someone who votes the same way he does would disagree with him, which, I mean, again, narrow-minded, really stupid logic right there. Plenty of people who voted other than Trump would disagree with him, but his narrow worldview doesn't allow him to see that. He is so high, basically, on his own ideals that he won't see that. And that is poor behavior, to be entirely honest. And it's that kind of poor behavior and the behavior of devs like Matt Hansen from Avowed, who we've already discussed, and so many other devs right now, so many games journalists who keep coming out and constantly attacking gamers and then stepping back and going, what did we do? We didn't do anything, and pretending to be the victim because that worked for Anita Sarkeesian. When what happened to Anita happened, it worked for her. Because back then, people were nicer in some ways. They were a little more naive. They didn't understand at the time that they were building a currency called victimhood. Unfortunately for them, the currency is no longer valid. Because gamers are tired of being told that there are all these terrible things while people try to control them. They're tired of being told that what they want in gaming is the wrong thing to want in gaming. They're tired of being told that the shit that's being shoveled down their throats is in fact filet mignon. And that's where we are right now. And because of where we are right now, they're realizing they've lost control. I hesitate to use such a serious example, but it's the best one I can think of. And possibly because of the life I've led. But it's sort of like when someone is in an abusive relationship and realizes they're in that abusive relationship and that it's time to get out. Getting out of an abusive relationship is very difficult for a number of reasons. The first is getting over the self-esteem issues that the abuse has caused over the years. Gamers have managed to approach that. We're basically more or less over the fact that people are going to continue calling us names and looking at us poorly because, let's face it, while it might have been nice to be popular, to think we were popular, part of the popular club, we're all pretty over it. We want to go back to not being popular. We just want them to not care about us again because we want to have fun games that we enjoy. And when they care about us, or when they care about seeing us or being seen as part of us, all of a sudden it becomes about those appearances, about being part of the in-group, about being part of, the virtuous club, and not about being just a gamer and having fun. We missed that. So we've managed to overcome that part. The next step is dealing with what happens when the abuser realizes they're losing control. And that's where we are right now. Right now, the people who have been abusing the games industry and gamers are realizing they're losing control. And what happens when that happens is they push everything into overdrive. They hit harder. They yell louder. They have a tendency to go for lower blows. It's part of why that portion of getting out of abuse is the most dangerous. That is where a lot of unfortunate things such as physical attacks, even death can occur in that section. Thankfully, we are not talking about an actual abusive relationship. We are talking about a social relationship in which most people are unlikely to see any kind of actual physical reaction. Now, it's not to say it hasn't happened, because there have in fact been people who have attacked others over this in a physical manner. And there are, of course, people telling others that they should remove themselves from this world or, to kill themselves over this. over the fact that we don't agree with the way they want to take gaming anymore and that we're not going to take it anymore. Now, I'm not accusing I'm not accusing David or Matt or the Mouthwashing devs or any of them of that, but they do have people who defend them, who say those things. And I don't think we're through it yet. I think we're going to see a little bit more of this, but soon you'll see people who realize that this method is just going to cause them more grief than good, actually start to come around and start being normal again, some of them. Others will no longer have a job. I mean, that's basically what's going to happen to them. Their business is going to fail and they are going to be out of a job. And if you behave like this, you deserve to lose your job. I'm not going to mince words on that. I'm not going to even pretend that I don't feel like you deserve to lose your job. If you think gamers are scum and you think that they should only buy what you make and you don't have to make what they want, I 100% believe you should lose your job. And I feel no sorrow for it. If you are someone who is trapped in a studio where that is the practice, I feel kind of bad for you, but I really recommend that you start figuring out how you're going to get out, because that's the only way out for you. So what am I really saying with all this random rambling about, the psychological reasons behind this and this pushback and blah, blah, blah? What I'm really saying is that we're winning. I mean, it's the outcome, the inevitable outcome, as long as we stick to our guns. Like I said, of the process, it is the more difficult to get through because they're just going to become worse. I don't think we've seen the worst of it yet, but I do think that this is a sign that we've reached the final stage of our bad relationship with these people. Now, it's not to say that will forever solve our problems. It's always going to be a lingering issue where you have the people who come up and do that. But I do feel that they will be relegated to their own niche where they belong. But in happier news, I want to say thank you so much to everybody who supports this channel. I specifically want to thank my channel members who are DX Machina NZ, Emperor Doomsday, Snake Oil Sean, Schmitted, Amugo, Green-Haired Anti-Liberal, Narrator 45, Felix, Stormborn, Aramis, Corrine Ponder, and Ben Henniger, as well as my Ko-Fi supporter, Silver. Thank you guys so much. The money that you give here helps me out and really helps me keep things running. If you would like to support the channel, you can find the link down in the comments. If you don't want to give YouTube your money, you can find the Ko-Fi link down there as well. There's also a link to a throne wish list. If you guys want to get me a Christmas present, I won't argue with you. But nothing is ever expected. I am just extremely grateful to everybody who does anything here on this channel, from comment to just the simple act of watching the videos and spending your time here, because as I say repeatedly, that is your most precious commodity. The time you spend here is not time you can get back, and I don't want you to regret it, and I want you to know that I am grateful for it. Let me know what you think about my random ramblings down in the comments, and I look forward to reading it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. If you really liked it, you can feel free to share it around, and I will catch you later.